This is Runescape, the way it's meant to be played, which is my series detailing my playthrough of 2009scape at a 5 times XP rate. By the end, I want to have completed all the quests and experienced all the content. MMOs take years to play through and often involve extremely long grinds. But should they? So I ended the last episode where I had gathered up around 15,000 gold through fletching, kind of with the intention to go buy runes. However, I started playing, completely forgot what I was doing, and ended up in Alcarid. I managed to buy some scimitars, then went back to the Lumbridge cows and just kept gathering hides and having them tanned. And then finally I went to sell the tanned hides and realized they were only worth 1 gold. So that's kind of the beginning of this episode. It might be a disappointment, but we're going to give it a shot. However, before we really kick off the episode, I want to talk about all the amazing comments and just general good reception I got after making my last video. The video managed around 2,300 views, accumulating them at around 100 views an hour, which is absolutely amazing. Although immediately after crossing 2,300 views, the views went from 100 an hour to 1 view the next hour, and it continued at that rate, which was really interesting. I don't really know a ton about how YouTube goes about recommending videos, but I'm really glad that the majority of people who got recommended the video really seem to enjoy it. So I'm going to go ahead and read 1 or 2 comments. So Cameron Hansen said, "Really looking forward to this, kinda sad I can't play this." Well, I'm sad you can't play it either. I really hope my videos live up to the expectations, but for anyone who can play, I've got a link down in the description to 2009scape. The community is absolutely amazing, and I'm sure everyone would be glad to see that servers pick up in population. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, we've got, "I've been playing RuneScape for 20 years. Trust me, I know how this game was meant to be played. I think RuneScape has evolved in the right direction, all things considered." I'm just going to leave this comment to kind of stand on its own. Might frame it on my wall in the future. Don't know. But back to the RuneScape content. So my journey to Alcarid definitely wasn't a complete waste of time. Through this, I managed to go from 7 strength to 13 strength, and from 13 to 14 hit points, as well as from 5 to 6 fire making and 8 to 11 cooking. So definitely not a waste of time. I also managed to remember to grab some free runes during that time, so that's a plus as well. Something I also noticed during this was the money made from bones is quite a bit, so in the future selling bones for gold might be a good option once my prayer is leveled enough. Luckily, after doing all of that, I did remember to head to Varrock to buy those runes, while also deciding I wouldn't die to a rat this time. In all, it was a good day's work. After reaching Varrock, I bought a couple hundred mind runes and wind runes, as well as a fire staff, which lets me cast spells that use fire runes without actually needing fire runes. However, my magic level was around 6, while the first fire spell, Fire Strike, requires level 13, so I ended up deciding to just kill some of the guards that were around until I reached level 13, since it seemed like not a far target with the XP rate. Otherwise I would have went somewhere else and just did other things until it happened. Which is kind of the joy of the increased XP rate. It definitely lets you move up in goals quickly. Watching my attacks on the guard go from almost constant misses to hitting 2s was really incredible, especially for it to happen in one guard's life. I actually managed to go from 6 magic to my goal of 13 in just over one guard's life. It was actually about 1 guard and then maybe 6 or 7 hits on the next guard, which was really cool because it was just flying by. I actually ended up staying on the guards until I reached 23 magic, which took about 10 minutes of grinding in total, so not really a grind, it was just a couple kills. My target was actually 25, which is the level needed for the Varrock teleport, so I ended up going to the Barbarians, because I found out that they have a very rare drop of a Law Rune. It's really not the best place to get Law Runes, but I figure by the time I hit 25, hopefully I could get one, even though the odds were very, very low. I actually stayed there for 10 or 15 minutes and managed to hit 26 magic and 20 hit points. Sadly, I didn't end up getting a Law Rune drop. However, I did a bit more research and found that the Draenor Village Dark Wizards seem to have a much higher drop rate. And at this point, I really just wanted a few runes before I went off to quest. which none of this was even my plan originally for this episode. I had really wanted to go off questing as soon as I had runes, but as I seem to do in games, I often get distracted with what my intentions are, and that's probably for the best because it's more enjoyable that way. Everything can't go to some kind of plan. But good news did come from it all. My Dark Wizard adventure had proved fruitful. I was the proud owner of 3 law runes, and only actually a minute and 30 seconds after arriving at the Dark Wizards. I did stay another 2 to 3 minutes, however, I didn't seem to be as lucky as my first drop, so I figured it was time to take my law runes and leave. Now it was time to go quest. Well, maybe after I almost die in the ham hideout. Okay, now it's time to go quest. So, after running back to Lumbridge and throwing everything in my bank, it was time to do the Cook's Assistant quest, which is really where I should have started episode 1. But now we're at a big advantage to just questing in general, so it should be a lot of fun. What am I to do? What's wrong? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I'm in a terrible, terrible mess. It's the Duke's birthday today, and I should be making him a lovely big birthday cake. By the way, he's got such a bad voice because I'm like the Chad coming in here, and I'm gonna like do all this for him because he can't even do his job, and I don't even have a job. Alright. I've forgotten to buy the ingredients. I'll never get them in time now. He'll sack me. What will I do? I have 4 children and a goat to look after. And I love how he just mentions his goat out of nowhere. Like, nobody asked about that. Would you help me? Please? Yes, I'll help you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I need milk, an egg, and flour. I'd be very grateful if you could get them for me. Where do I find these ingredients then? Actually, I know where to find this stuff. Also, I love how he's supposed to be a cook and he doesn't have milk, eggs, or flour. So, I ended up running off to the nearby farms to find the ingredients. As you can imagine, I milked some chickens, I got some cow eggs, and I ground the local goblins into flour at the mill. How are you getting on with finding the ingredients? Here's a bucket of milk. Here's a pot of flour. Here's a fresh egg. I like how he just wants 1 egg. Like, what are you gonna cook with 1 egg? You've brought me everything I need. I am saved! Thank you! So, do I get to go to the Duke's party? Also, you're about to notice a transition in voices here. I'm afraid not. Only the big cheeses get to dine with the Duke. Well, maybe one day I'll be important enough to sit on the Duke's table. Maybe, but I won't be holding my breath. See, this is the moment that I realized that the cook was the Chad, and I was the loser here. The dang cook just had me do his job for him. Didn't even give me anything for it. Oh, how the turntables. But with that, I completed my first quest, the Cook's Assistant, of course being a classic. I got 1 quest point, which really does nothing for me, but I did manage to get 300 XP for cooking, which shot me all the way up to 16 cooking. After finishing that quest, I decided I'd go right into one more classic quest, which is the Imp Catcher, which just involves traveling around the world and killing imps and grabbing the beads that they drop. I believe you need 4 colored beads. I kind of cheated though and just farmed an imp that spawned in Lumbridge while chatting with another player. I also managed to get a wizard hat drop from the imps, which I didn't even realize they dropped it. It gives a +2 bonus to magic, so that's pretty exciting to see. And it's definitely going to help out since I've been focusing pretty heavy on magic, and I'll probably focus on it for quite some time. But after 5 or 6 minutes of killing imps, I managed to get my last needed drop, which was a yellow bead, and I ran over to the wizard's tower to turn in the quest. Sadly, you're not going to get my amazing voiceover work for this one. He basically just wanted his beads back. It wasn't too interesting. I think the punishment of not giving him a voice is pretty suitable here. I don't think he's worth it. However, the reward was actually pretty good. Even if he was lame, I got another quest point, which isn't much, but it's something. It'll add up later on. And then 875 magic XP, which bumped me up to 33 magic. And then I got an Amulet of Accuracy. I think the next episode is going to be full of a lot more questing, and I'm probably going to start with the quest that's in the basement here, or you might actually have to go to Lumbridge for it, but it's the Rune Essence quest. It lets you start mining Rune Essence, which is the stuff that makes runes, So that's probably where I'll start, but I'm sure I'm going to do a bunch of quests. I want to start with all of the free quests, and then I'll start diving into all of the, like, members quests and all of that. But I think just getting through all the free implemented quests would be pretty exciting. Get done with that, because that's really where I spent a lot of my time when I first started in RuneScape. It was years before I started on members content. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed the video. I'd love some feedback, so even if it's criticism, I really don't have a problem with criticism. Give me some comments below, because I'd really like to improve this series. I'm really glad people liked the first episode, so I'm hoping this one was as good. If it wasn't, let me know. And thanks for watching.